Hi everyone, this is Cam Williams back with another video for you. Now, where you've bought your chicks or you've been following along and you've been incubating your own chicks, you're gonna need a place for them to stay when they hatch or when they arrive. That place is known as the brooder, and that's where they'll live for the first 3 to 6 weeks of their life, depending on the outside weather and their feathering, before they're ready to move outside. The first thing to know about the brooder is that it doesn't have to be expensive or official. It can be made out of cardboard boxes with holes for ventilation, plastic storage bins, a kiddie pool, an unused bathtub, or in my case, a cat cage even. The most important thing when you're building your brooder is that it has at least 2 square feet per chick, to make sure that by the time that they're grown up in that 3 to 6 week age range, they have enough space to run around without feeling cramped. After you see their brooder has enough space, it's time to lay down their bedding. It's to be made of an absorbent material, with the best bedding being considered to be pine or aspen shavings around an inch thick. If you don't have these savings lying around, you can also resort to paper towels. Now, on the other hand, the two worst beddings that you could ever use are newspaper and cedar shavings. Newspaper is not nearly as absorbent as these other beddings, and it has a very slippery surface, which can lead to a deformity which is permanent called splay leg, which can result in the other chicks pecking the affected bird to death. Meanwhile, the cedar shavings contain aromatic oils, which will irritate the chick's lungs, which makes them vulnerable to respiratory problems later in life. Now that you've laid out proper bedding for them, you need to make sure you can keep your chicks warm. For the first week of their lives, they need the air to be around 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which will go down by around 5 degrees per week until they're ready to move outside. This isn't a be-all, end-all guideline though, so you should always take a close look at their behavior to figure out what you should do for them. If your chicks are crowded together right next to or right under your heat source, they're cold, and you should lower it or add another heat source. Or if your chicks are trying to get as far away from the heat source as possible, that means they're too hot, and you should move it further away from them. Now, for the heat source itself, professionals recommend that you have a heater that your chicks can go underneath so that they can feel safe and secure like they're under their mother. But if you absolutely can't get one of these kinds of heaters, then you can always go with a heat bulb. Though you should note that you should always use a red bulb instead of a white bulb. That's because the white bulb makes it hard for your chicks to sleep, and it can increase their aggression with each other. The one thing you should always keep in mind is that if your chicks are happy, they'll be quiet and moving all around the brooder. Now, because they're babies, really all they want to do is explore when you put them in. So when you put them in, you have to make sure that their food and their water is in a container that they can't go up and walk in and poop in, because if they do, then that can fester and cause disease among the flock. In addition, the kind of feed they might eat will vary. If your chicks are vaccinated against coccidiosis, they'll need unmedicated feed. If they're not vaccinated against it, or if they only got vaccinated for Marek's disease, then they'll like medicated feed to keep them healthy for the first few months of life. In addition, there's two types of feed in general: starter feed and grower feed. For this, you'll need to read the label and the manufacturer instructions, because some will have the starter last for 4 weeks before moving onto the grower feed, but others might combine it both together in a starter and grower feed that can last up to 16 weeks. But no matter what kind of feed you use, you'll have to make sure that your chicks always have 24/7 access to any food they might need, like an all-you-can-eat buffet, because they can self-regulate the amount of food they eat, unlike cats, dogs, and other pets that you might be more familiar with. Now for a couple bonuses. Even at just a week old, your chicks are excellent flyers. So depending on the structure of your brooder, you might need to place some netting or chicken wire over the top of your brooder in order to prevent them from flying outside of it. And last but not least, roosting poles. When they're just relaxing, your chicks will love to perch on high, whether it be on branches or dowels or anything of the sort. While this is not an essential part of the brooder, putting a few sticks in there for them to perch on can make all the difference in their level of happiness. If you like this kind of content, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. Thank you for all your support.